Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to today's live stream. Really appreciate everyone coming today. So, so for today, I don't have I wanted to talk about a few things that weren't really specifically related to um, like like faith in particular, and like Konko Faith in particular, or Shinto in particular. But it's related in the fact that it has to do with our daily lives and how do we manage like daily life things together with kami-sama. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. So I'm sure everyone knows that when we go on the internet, we're exposed to a lot of really kind of like extreme posts, I guess you could say, or like very evocative posts, like posts that make you feel a lot of emotions, usually negative emotions. Um, and they're usually like a lot of shock value or something that grabs your attention, right? And I don't mean like genuine like informational posts or like activist posts necessarily. Hello Inez-san, hello Vadim-san. Thank you so much for coming. I don't mean like those sort of posts, but like posts that are like, the YouTube thumbnail is some person being like this. They're like, oh my god, their face is like some surprise face, and it's like shocking something that you never expected, or it's always trying to grab your attention, usually, and it's really like, and I hate to say it, but it works. Like it works because of it's like drawing on human psychology, right? Like we always want to know like what is so shocking or like what happened. It's like it's natural for us to want to know. And there's some more serious things that happens with this style of posting. But just to like make it a little bit easier, there's some kind of posts recently that talk about I don't know, something as simple as like video games or something. And recently it's been like I think there was like like some kind of event where like new games were being announced, and there's like there's like so much outrage this way and the other about like certain design choices or the game announcements or whatever, etc., etc. That's not the point. The point is that like even over something as simple or like something as you know not as like it's not like life threatening, it's not like political, it's not it's a hobby. Like gaming is a hobby, and I know for some people it can be more than a hobby, and it can be a passion, it can be something that touches their lives. And for me too, like there's been a lot of games that have touched my heart, but we have to understand like the level of impact like games have on us in our lives. They're still like a hobby, they're still like something you can choose to interact with or choose not to interact with, versus like politics or like other life situations or environmental issues that you can't ignore, you can't refuse to participate in. Like you can say you don't, but like we do anyway because it's part of our lives, it's part of the country we're in, and or like where we're from, so it's different. But like to me, like even as something as like that's chosen to be participated in and it's more of a hobby as video games, like there's so much outrage and there's so much like big emotions over like this creative pursuit and like culture wars around it. And and it's crazy because like I feel like people genuinely like lose their senses. Like I was like I unfortunately was reading some of like posts and tweets like on all platforms. Like it doesn't matter which platform it is, like it's the same kind of posts. And I understand like some of it is bots and some of it is fake outrage. I know that. But there are some people who are genuinely posting, and they were like and they weren't making any sense. Like some of the things that they were saying, it was like there was a lot of like hypocrisy and a lot of double standards and a lot of logical fallacies. And it was just like chaotic, like going all over the place. And if you ask me, like that's kind of like the definition of like kegare. Like just something that brings so much negative emotion, so much imbalance, so much chaos, so much heavy emotions, anger, sadness, upset, like arguing with each other. That's like kegare, like so much is coming out of nowhere. over like the smallest thing, right? And it got me wondering, why are we in this period of time? Like, maybe not, maybe it's always been like this in some ways, like for anything throughout human history, like people find things to argue about and get emotional about, like that's a human condition, right? But I guess like in our specific time in like 2026, and like our specific point in history, and like everything that has come before us, and how like games in particular are like something that's not as like impactful, like as in like physically, like like politics or environment, like games are not like that. Like they can impact us, but they're like you can choose to interact with them or not. So this level of like emotion and outrage over something of that caliber, it like concerns me because it feels like, I don't know, it feels like we're kind of like, we as in like humanity is kind of getting into this whole kind of like mindset, and like we're kind of losing what we should really focus on. And I know like people smarter than me have talked about this exact phenomenon. Like, I'm not what I'm thinking about is not original, but I guess like in the perspective of like Konko Faith, and like a perspective of like how we understand Kegare and how that affects our spirit. I wanted to talk about it because it's actually like a huge impact on us, even though it shouldn't, like these kinds of emotions don't have to arise from something like this. So, if you guys know, so hi Lupin, welcome, and yes, take your time, enjoy time with your son. But if you guys were there last time for the monthly ceremony I did in June 1st, I started to chant the Rokon Shoujo no Oharai prayer, and this is a prayer that has been chanted in Konko Faith like since the very beginning, from like Konko Daijin Sama. Well, maybe not the very very beginning, but it was one of the core prayers that had persisted through in the faith, and also the disciples chanted it as well. And this one and the Hanya Sutra, which the Heart Sutra, which have like very similar meanings. Which the meaning of these prayers is that like basically like even if you hear or see or like feel or you know are exposed to kegare or like negative energy, like don't hold it or keep it in your mitama no kami, like don't hold it in your spirit, like just let it go. Like you can, like it will come to you, and you have to process it, but just let it go. Because if you hold it into your heart and you hold it into your spirit, it's like holding in the kegare, and then it will just accumulate, and it will cloud your divine nature, and it will keep accumulating. And the worst case scenario is that if it accumulates too much, it might lead you to do tsumi, or like an actual offense. And why does it do that? Because when we're clouded with so much negativity, when we're clouded with so much hatred and anger and sadness and pain, and we're not processing that, we can end up like lashing out on others. Even though like you can understand why someone might feel so overwhelmed, but that doesn't make it okay either. So we have to like learn how to manage our own emotions and learn how to process our own emotions. Even if it's understandable, like you would get upset over something like crazy that you see, we still have the responsibility to figure out how to manage those feelings, and how to, get along with everyone, and coexist with one another. And what I mean by that is like, we can't just be like fighting each other all the time and like arguing with each other all the time. Like there's ways to disagree with people and have criticisms without being violent or lashing out or being abusive, you know what I mean? So it's like keeping that balance, and it's our responsibility to figure out how to manage that, like those expressions and those feelings. And like the Rokon Shoujo no Oharai and the Heart Sutra kind of like guide us how to manage those negative emotions in that kegare. So basically it's saying like, even if you feel and see and hear all these negative things, don't hold on to them. Just let them go and process them, and like just feel them out. But don't let them like accumulate and then like burst out, into like this kind of toxic behavior. But yeah, so And I don't know, I was thinking about that because like I'm like scrolling on the internet and I'm like seeing all these things that are and hearing all these things that are like affecting my spirit and like hurting me and like making me like spiral and like what's wrong with people, you know. But it's okay like to feel that like frustration and anger and everything, but I just don't keep it in. Like I just let it go and it's like, okay, well, it's just like, you know, this is the state of things and you just kind of have to like acknowledge it and then get it out of your system. And you just have to kind of keep processing it. And honestly, like laughter helps a lot too. Like it helps to like just kind of like something sometimes can be so crazy or like so like illogical or like so like why are people doing this? You have to laugh or otherwise you'll go crazy. Because like laughter kind of like it's like you laugh because you acknowledge you're actually seeing clearly how like illogical this all is and how misguided it all is. So you kind of like have to like laugh to relieve the pressure of it. Because if you keep it like if you hold it in and you hold that weight in, it'll just start to eat at you and it'll start to crush you. And that's not good, right? Like you can't let that happen to your spirit. So it's good to just like, you know, kind of like laugh and like let it out and just process it, you know. I mean, obviously not for like really serious stuff that does deserve your respect and attention, but you know what I mean? Like if you see people like like arguing over a video game character's design and they're like just like going at each other, like hurling insults, like spending all this time and energy like arguing over a video game character, you have to kind of laugh because it's like what are we doing right now? Like this is not good for either of you and it's not gonna like it's not healthy, you know, to argue over something that is just like a creative pursuit of a company or an individual. Like it's just it's not, you know. I mean, like I understand if like the content of the game or the design kind of relates to a serious issue. Like of course I understand having debate about that and criticism, but like if the girl character is like ugly to you or something and then you think that's like a big problem, that's kind of ridiculous. So you kind of have to like, you know, like just kind of like I don't understand people sometimes and I don't know what's going on all the time. Like sometimes it feels like it's just so like into the trenches of like something that is like whoa, you know. But that's why you can't like hold it in too heavily. And even for things that are like really heavy, like if it's an actual issue like political, environmental, something that happened locally or in the world that's like causing suffering of people or deaths of people, you know, you have to also like you can keep the knowledge of what has happened inside of your heart and then process it to figure out what to do next and how to make things better. But like the feelings that it gives you, like the hurt and the pain and the anger, it's important to process those as well and not hold on to them too tightly. Like of course, like whenever you think about it, you're going to feel anger or sadness or pain, but then you can let it go each time. But if you just keep holding on to it, like keep holding on to the kegare and the bad feelings, it's going to keep accumulating and then you'll make yourself like, you know, more lethargic and more down and it's going to affect you more and it's going to in some cases it works against you as well because it makes you freeze and it makes you stuck. It makes you feel stuck, like you don't know what to do. um you know, you don't know how to help anyone or anything because it's just so overwhelming. So, you know, that's also why it's important to kind of process things and let go of things so you're not burdened too much and then you can act or do things to make things better as well. So it's kind of like, again, it's like that difficult balance to keep everything, you know, harmonized and like not like disrespect things or like not care about things, but also not like hold on to the feelings too much or too long. But then just keep everything in your heart, you know. So it's like it's really hard, but And it takes a lot of practice, but I think it's important, especially now that like there's so many things on the internet that are just like it's like one thing after another, and it's just like it can be really overwhelming. And I don't want people to get like burnout or like suffocating in all the bad feelings or anything like that. But yeah, it's just but as far as like things that like people feel this like outrage or like heavy emotions over, that it's not like again, it's not that deep or it's not that and it's not like worthy really of those emotions. And what I mean by that again, like it's not affecting like people's lives as much. Um, I think it's like a symptom of like something deeper going on in the world. Like I don't know what it is. I have to pray on it more and think about it more. But it's genuinely concerning. And I don't know like what to do because it's just kind of like I gotta drink a tea. Sorry. Because like I know a lot of like younger people like in their like they're like I don't know like in preteen, teenager, like high school, middle school age. Like I know like I hear about stories from those kids from that era, both from my like little cousin and like my friend is like one of my friends. Well, actually two of my friends, but one of my friends does like a mentorship for like younger kids. My other friend does another mentorship, but it's like for older kids. But anyway, there's like mentorship programs and like teaching. One of my other my friends are teachers, so I hear like stories of like kids all the time, and I'm concerned because like I hear sometimes a story, like not all kids obviously, but like it's a growing issue, kind of like on the fringe, that like I know some kids who are like becoming like hikikomori more, which is like a shut in, like they don't want to leave their rooms and they just like play Fortnite all day. And like I kind of get it because like when I was that age, I was a little bit of a shut in because like I was like bullied and I had like a hard time making friends with other people and it was like more isolating. Um, so I kind of get it. But I also kind of had a balance too because I would also go out and like I wouldn't get too obsessed with things. And I would go to school and stuff, right? Like even if I was bullied at school, I still kind of went and I just like endured it, like gum on and stuff. Because I was like, "Ugh, I can't help it, right? Like I have to go to school." But like unfortunately, like I hear a lot of stories of these kids and they don't even want to go to school. They don't want to like talk to anybody. They just like play a certain like they fixate on a game and they just play the game like 24/7, like to the point they don't even want to eat meals or like even like leave their room for the bathroom. I heard like I don't know if that's exaggerated, but I know it does happen, especially in Japan. Anyway, I'm not here to judge, but I'm worried because like I'm concerned because it's like I feel like from like my era, like 15 years ago when I was like 15, like what happened in those 15 years that like it just kind of grew, like the phenomenon kind of grew and like became worse and like more extreme. And oh no, Lisa. No, it's okay. Oh no. But you're like reaching out, like that's good. And like I understand what you mean, but you're still trying to keep a balance. It's good. But it's just like I don't know, like I get concerned because again, like what happened in those 15 years that like led to this? And I do think COVID was a big part of it because that was like 5 of those 15 years. So that's like one third of it, right? So, and that was like everyone was inside and we had to stay inside and online. And that, like, that's a big contribution, especially when you're like young and that's like what you're used to growing up. And then now it's like a normal. Um, but I don't know. I also think that I think a big problem lies not in the kids, but like kind of the worlds that made everything like more online. You know what I mean? So like, because like when I was growing up, like online stuff was like not as intertwined with like real life stuff, right? So like there was kind of more of a bigger line between real life and like online. But over those years, like real life stuff. and online stuff, like the line started to blur. And now like most people are like online. Like everything's online. Like work is online, their professional life is online, their Facebook profile with like their real face and everything. I mean, that's okay. Like it is what it is, but I think that contributes to that because it's like if everything is online, why would you need to go offline, right? like why would you need to go offline if everyone's online, right? So it's kind of like that. And then also I think another problem is like there was a lot of like even in my generation, like when I was getting older, like I want to say this was like when I was like 16, 17, or maybe before, but there was a lot of stuff about like, stranger like not stranger but like, going outside is dangerous. So like, there's like creeps and like stalkers and murderers and everything like that outside. So it's better to stay inside, And my mom didn't tell me that, but like that was the society, like the Canadian society at the time. Like there was just so much like in school and like in TV and stuff that was like, don't go outside because like you're gonna get kidnapped or like someone's gonna like take you or something. And like obviously the danger's there, but like there was kind of like a hysteria about it. It was like making a lot of fear and hysteria that like going outside was really, really bad. Like it was like all bad. Like there was nothing good about going outside. So like it was like going outside was like evil, plus everything was coming online, plus lockdown. Like I get it. I get why like younger people are like mostly online or like hikikomori becoming hikikomori because like the society shifted like to just like making everything indoors and online. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I that's the hard part because like I understand why that happened, but I'm seeing now like the effects of it, and it's scary because like if you're like my age, which is like late 20s 30s like or older, you'll remember there was like a period where it was like there was nothing online and everything was like offline, and like online was just like a computer, like a big heavy computer in like the one specific room, and you could only log on like a few hours a day. But now it's like we all have a computer, like our phones, right? Like we have a little mini computer we can go on anytime. And like I go on all the like I'm not judging, right? Like I understand. But I think all of this comes from me understanding how I am and then trying to change it. And then as I'm trying to change this pattern, I notice how much it's affecting everyone else from like and I'm concerned because like younger people, I know for them it's like it was more inundated on them versus me who got to like have that period where I knew like what it was like to have that divide. But if I didn't grow up with that and I grew up with everything online, it would be a lot more like difficult to process like how to keep that divide, you know? And that's like completely understandable. Like I understand, like I don't blame the kids, right? Like I blame like society for like turning this way, right? And and it's also like sorry, I'm like ranting about it, but I just want to get it out, right? Like, and the other problem is like because everything become also really expensive. So like even if you wanted to go out, everything costs money to do when you go out. Like you have to pay to eat out, you have to pay to use the like I don't sorry, you don't have to pay to use the library, but like you have to pay to go to a cafe, you have to pay to stay in a cafe, you have to pay to eat, you have to if you want to go like to an event or something, you have to pay for it. And like I don't know what they call it in English. I think like third spaces. This is like a new term. Even like it kind of evolved while I was in Japan, so I don't really know. But like apparently like third spaces is like where you have like a space in public to like just stay and it's free, which is like a library or like a park or a mall. A mall is like stores, but you can just wander around, right? And a lot of those are people are saying like they're kind of like disappearing like one by one. Like people don't really because people don't really go out. So it's it's like, oh my god. And I don't know, it's kind of like I just worry, I guess, about it. Cause and the reason I'm worrying is because like when everybody's online and we don't like see each other as much. And I'm not like I'm not saying you can't make genuine connections because like obviously we're like genuinely connecting. Um, like we're part of the community, we're part of the Shinto community, the Konko community. Like we have like actual friendships and like bonds and like keep in touch with each other, and that's normal. But like what I mean is like if I had a choice, if I could like snap my fingers and we all like meet up in person, like I would want that, right? Like I would just want to teleport and like see you guys in person. And I think like subconsciously there's a little bit of loneliness about that, where it's like I wish I could meet everyone in person and talk to everyone in person. And like video chat helps, but it's like again, like you just want that in person talk and stuff. But it's hard. And it's like it's hard to do that. And I think like subconsciously that like kind of like affects us, as humans, like as a human creature, as like an animal. Like I think for our souls, it's kind of normal because we're like connecting through time and space through the mitama no kami. But like as animals, as like biological creatures, I think there's a part of us in our monkey brain that wants to connect face to face. And I think that when that's not being met or that can't happen as much, it can actually affect people more and it can lead to like, depression and like bad feelings and like loneliness and stuff. That's also concerning. So it's like, and I'm not saying I have the answers, and I'm not here to judge people, but because like I know, because I'm someone who grew like basically was like terminally online. So, because like of how I grew up and like, like most of my like and living overseas, like it was hard to make friends locally for a while and stuff like that. But, it's just like really hard. And I think it makes it harder to, um, like how to explain this? Like connect as well, like practice faith, like connect to kami-sama as well. Not only for the amount of like kegare this kind of situation generates for everyone, but also it feels like the loneliness you feel from not being able to connect as much with others or like in the way you want to. I don't know, I can't explain this, but maybe it's just me. But for me, I feel like it can affect like how I connect to kami-sama as well. Because, if you think about it, like a lot of times like praying to kami-sama is kind of similar to like, not talking to someone in person, but like connecting them through soul, like soul to soul. So it's a little bit similar, but and it can kind of affect like how we pray or connect to kami-sama because it can feel like there's like a distance, but there doesn't need to be one because kami-sama doesn't have like a physical body to connect to, like a human and human. But I think it does like somewhere like in the subconscious, it does like affect our connection. Oh, sorry. Okay, so Alex says there is a lot of research on this kind of thing. It's why I've been trying to figure out how we can move forward because there are many who actively say this is better. Like wait, say like online is better or like like or like wait, sorry, I don't wait, like, you mean like people who say like online is better or say like in person is better? But yeah, it's hard to find a way to move forward with like stuff you want to do in the community because of like this obstacle or this like situation. Also, oh, okay. Welcome back, Lupin. I'm sorry it's been hot. Oh, I know it's been hot here. Well, not really recently, but it's been hot and then it got cold again. And now it's getting hot again. It's just up and down. Oh, sorry. Alex, thank you. Alex says online is better. It's a common thing I've seen recently. Sorry, I ran it back. Oh my god. We got focus on writing. But thank you. But yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I've seen that too. Like, I think again, it's like that kind of like mindset. Like everyone's so used to online that like some people are preferring it, and like me, I prefer. I want in person more. Like I know it's not feasible, because of time, money, distance, um, all sorts of things, right? Even if, and like, that's the thing too, like, even if we were all local, it would be extremely hard to schedule a meetup because all of us have just so many different things going on in life. Like, even my real life friends in here in Japan, like, I see them like maybe like once every 3 months or something because we're all just super busy. It's like, but that's how it is, right? But yeah, some people, because of that, they prefer online as well. Also, Lupin, sorry, we're talking about, how do we summarize this? We're talking about um the current state of affairs of like online versus offline and connecting with others online versus offline. And earlier I was talking about how like online can affect our psyche a lot because of the outrage culture and like culture wars and all this stuff. Even when it's over something that's not really like as deep, like video game characters versus like politics or environmental issues. Um, so yeah, we're talking about all that. And like how in the Rokon Shoujo no Oharai and the Heart Sutra, it's saying like don't keep negative things in your heart, like just let them out and process them. So it's on the foundation of that. Like we want to process out these negative feelings and like think about them and not hold them in so they don't like accumulate and like overwhelm us. So that's really important when dealing with like the like constant information we see when we're online. And like even if you curate your space online, like it's still gonna come up. And trust me, I've tried. Like it's still gonna come up unless you like completely go offline and like off TV and like off everything. It won't be as overwhelming. But like even just a little connection, it can like get through. So it's hard, right? And now we're talking about like how some people, like, I prefer to meet others like if we can offline, even though I know it's hard. But especially after, I feel like especially after COVID, a lot of people are preferring that things are online because of the familiarity, the ease, the convenience, the you don't have to like dress up yourself. Like you can just stay like without camera. So there's a lot of benefits and um positives to online as well. So it's kind of like that. Alex says on Reddit there were even people saying physical places should cease, like shops, and we should adapt to the new paradigm. Oh yes. Lupin says more than anything, I want in-person community, but settling for online. Ah, yeah, same. Like I just like that's what I mean. Like I wish we could snap our fingers, teleport, hang out, then go back home. Like, but it's the shogunai, right? Like it is what it is. I think that's too extreme, Alex. Like, I think people who kind of in that mindset, I think that's too extreme. I think with everything, right? Like literally everything in this world, like I've yet to find something that doesn't work best in balance. So everything is good in balance, right? So it's good to have offline options, but it's good to have in-person options. And it's true. I don't really like, big brand stores like, like chain like huge chain stores like using up a lot of like landscape and like half of the land is like a parking lot. Like I don't really like that. But I do like, having a little like, downtown and there's like little shops and it's like, individual shops and you can walk through and see unique things, right? I like that. So again, like a balance, right? Like I don't think we need like 20 mega malls. But like one mall and like maybe like a downtown and there's like unique stores, right? And then, we have the more unique stuff online as well. So it's like it's a balance, right? Yeah. And Lupin says Redditors are generally genius with sex. Oh no. That's true. There's that reputation. And Lupin also says Atlanta is mostly a parking lot. That's not an exaggeration. Oh my oh no. Yeah, I remember that in Canada. Like I swear, like you could like have to like I can't even explain it. Like I that's what I really hated about like North America is like for some reason like there needed to be like a parking lot the size of like a football field, and I'm just like, why? But yeah. Alex says to solve the money and time issues, we should all become time traveling pirates. These comments were coming from High Street Cozy Research. It was kind of depressing. Oh no, I see. I would love to become a time traveling pirate. Like that's the goal, like just zip through time and space. I mean, we could do that as Mitama, but not in the physical world. But that is really depressing, like High Street closing the little stores, like, it's like we need to have a balance, It's just sad though. But yeah, I feel like that sentiment has really come up a lot, especially after COVID. And I think the most depressing thing is that like even for shrines, um, we get to be completely candid, we get more people who participate online to our monthly ceremonies than in person. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay though. Like I don't mind. Like I get it, but I think it's reflective of the kind of sentiment that's been growing since COVID. And it's not even just our shrine, because like I kind of get it for our shrine, because like we're like in Yokosuka. Well, Yokosuka is a city, but it's like very south, and like it's kind of a navy town. Like the military base is here, but like a lot of the residents are elderly. There's not a lot of families. There's like only like one or two schools. Most of it is commercial and navy, so it's not like a huge town. It's not like Tokyo or like like a enclosed village or town. So and yeah, we're kind of like far out too, because like the major hubs like Yokohama, Tokyo, Kawasaki, they're all kind of like 40 minutes away. So we're pretty a little far out, right? And plus we're like in a more quiet area of the city as well. Like, well, we're like 5 minutes from the downtown area, but like up, like you have to walk up a little bit, and it's like the quieter Uomachi, like the upper town. So like even the shops up here don't get a lot of customers. Even the Konbini gets like maybe, I don't know, like 100 people a day. It's not super busy. So I get it, right? But like even like big shrines, like bigger shrines, like the there's not really a lot of visitors who go for the matsuri, like the monthly ceremonies or the rituals. Like they'll participate in the big Mikoshi event, but like as far as daily worshipers or like worshipers for the monthly ceremony, it's like so little or like no one at all. And it's like, oh my god, because like I remember I saw like one of the shrines in Tokyo. It was their taisai. It was their grand ceremony, the two biggest grand ceremonies of the world, in the world, in the year. Um, and the worshipers, it was just like five elderly people, and that was it. So I was like, oh, okay, like, and we're like in Tokyo, right? Like, there's like a million people walking by. There's like everyone. There's like so many people like right in the Tokyo hub. And on the Taisai day, it was just like five elders and the priest, and I was like, oh my god. But then like if you go online, there's a lot of people who like to watch the ceremonies or to like to interact with like the posts and stuff. So it's like I feel like there's a lot of like online support, but then you go in person and it's like nothing's really happening. And it's like kind of scary, It's kind of like I don't know, like for me it's a little bit unnerving. I mean, like I'm okay, like our kyokai is okay, like I'm not concerned, but like in general, like the trend is kind of like makes me sad, you know? Like I'm sure that like financially or like logistically it will be fine, but I mean like in terms of like community, right? Like in terms of connecting to the actual like place of worship and like the people, like right? Like and it makes me sad because like we have people who come here from like from like Europe and like North America to come to this shrine. Like they like people spending so much money, so much time to come here. And I'm always like thankful and so moved. But then it's like the local people, even the close by people, they don't like try to come in person. And it makes me really sad because it's like I feel like people are losing the understanding of the value of why this physical space is so important. And it's not even about like donations or anything. I'm not saying that. It's not about donations. It's about like being here. It's like actually physically being here when you have the ability to be here. You know, we had a worshiper once who like literally lived like right across the street, but he he didn't really come a lot until recently. Like he usually stayed home, even though he lived right next door. So it was like, I think because I guess being close, you take it for granted, but it was kind of sad. Okay, let me read the comments. Lipin says, if I started a kyokai, I'd be working hard to make it as community focused as I could. I know it's not usual in the US, but I'd want to try to make it a space that many people are aware of in town. Yeah, no, that's the best thing you can do, honestly. Like, I've been trying to do that here in Yokosuka, and like, people come, like, and tourists come, honestly, but it's harder. It's like harder in Japan because a lot of people are really introverted. And I know that's true, like, anywhere. Like, most people are becoming more introverted, especially with online and stuff. But, again, like that third space thing, right? You want to have a space and a community that you could also participate in person. I think that's important too. Alex says, I've actually been talking to a few local churches who have managed a reversal in their congregations in the hopes I can bring this to shrines. There are ways to reconnect. Oh, yes, no, definitely, definitely. Yeah, no, I think it's like, it's all about like outreach. Sorry, it's like dry air. There's definitely ways to outreach. Like, that's why I'm like posting so much on the internet and like doing so many things because it's like, I want to show people like they don't need to come here for like a specific reason. They can just come here like anytime, And I kind of want to do like, Magic the Gathering in the shrine or like something, like a hobby, something. Like not to diminish the sacredness of the space, but just to like welcome people here. And so they know like they don't have to come here only when it's like a special occasion, like it's like a funeral or like a ceremony or something. They can just come in and pray to Kami-sama and say hi and then go out shopping. Like it's not a big deal. And again, it's not about membership, it's not about donations. Like in my experience, like at least for Tenchika no Kami-sama, like Tenchika no Kami-sama like takes care of that. Like and like that sounds kind of flippant, but I don't mean it like that. I mean like for me, like I really take the teaching that don't rely on people, rely on Kami-sama. I take that very seriously because I think it's genuinely true that we have to rely on Kami-sama to get things going and to make things come true. And the reason I say that with like a lot of conviction is because that's what Konko Daijin sama did. Like he never like everything he wanted to fulfill, he was praying to Kami-sama about it. He was asking Tenchika no Kami-sama, like, what should I do for this situation? What should I do for this situation? And the same pattern was with Reverend Takashi Tomi. Like she also was always asking Kami-sama, like, how can I, help more people? How can I, I want to establish a kyokai, but there's all these obstacles. I don't have the money. There's my own brother is against me. There was like the Shugenja that didn't want them to build a kyokai. There were so many obstacles and so many things going on. But they were directly focused on Kami-sama, asking Kami-sama to help them like have everything come to fruition. And so I really take that seriously that like if I want something to happen, I'm going to ask Kami-sama for guidance how to make that happen and ask Kami-sama for the ability to make something happen, the physical world, and focus on Kami-sama's guidance rather than thinking like it's everything I should do only by myself and ask other people for like, like being more, like just not thinking about Kami-sama at all. I don't think that's good. And I understand like there's financial aspect, physical aspect, there's all these things you have to consider, but I think it should start with kami-sama and then go to the other projects and the other branches. Like we cannot forget kami-sama in any endeavor we do. And I also think about the teaching where it's like, if you say you're gonna start something and you don't ask kami-sama, kami-sama will just watch you do it. Like I'll be like, okay, go ahead, like do it. But that's why it's important. Like anything you start, it's important to ask kami-sama and tell kami-sama you want to start something, and can you please help me go through this and help me work through this goal and wish and help me make it come true. So that's really, really important as you're going through the actions to make something happen. And like even if you don't ask kami-sama and you find like success per se, like you find a lot of success and you can do many things, like without kami-sama it can be gone. It can be gone in a generation. I don't say to scare people. I don't say that like kami-sama is punishing people. I just mean like if you built everything on your own back and then let's say you pass away or you get sick, and then eventually like it will just kind of fall apart because you're not the one supporting it anymore. And maybe some people will support it in your stead, but eventually they'll pass away as well. So like the foundation, if it's built on your only yourself, it's noble and it's respectable, but you have to understand the human limitation behind that foundation. That's why I think it's really important to set a foundation with kami-sama, because kami-sama is eternal and kami-sama will watch over it for long, long, long time. And if the foundation is in kami-sama, that means like other people can come and go. But if you're allowing kami-sama to be the foundation of this wish you have, it will make it stronger in reality in this physical world. At least that's my belief, and from my experiences. And I really take that seriously. And and it's not even just like about Konko Daijin-sama or the disciples, but like literally like every kyokai story, like every kyokai's origin story like comes from that. Like they asked kami-sama for guidance, or they asked kami-sama through Konko-sama to give them guidance. And it was not easy. I'm not saying it was like okay, like they asked and it was all good. I'm not saying that. It was like hard, right? They had to put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, but the whole time like kami-sama made things happen as well. So that's like really important, right? Like I remember listening to Kishi Sensei about the foundation of the Toronto Kyokai, because I was shocked. I was like, how is this like huge building, like so much land, like all of this in just like 50 years? Like, and Konkokyo is not really like a big religion, so like realistically, like compared to Christianity or like Islam, so like how did all this happen? And I asked Kishi Sensei like directly. I was like, Kishi Sensei, like how did all this happen? And he told me like the whole time he was asking kami-sama to help him establish the Toronto Kyokai. And like he was asking kami-sama to guide him to the right things to do and the right people to meet and the right places to be to help establish the Kyokai for everybody. And I remember like one time kami-sama like guided someone to the Toronto Kyokai, and like kami-sama informed Kishi Sensei like this person would be coming and they'd be asking for Toritsugi about something. So Kishi Sensei like prepared, right? Like they prepared on kami-sama's guidance. And when this person came, they had like Toritsugi and they had a lot of things to talk about, etc. And Kishi Sensei and this person did Toritsugi for over a little bit of a long time. Then eventually like this person became part of the community and part of the Kyokai. And a lot of the things that they were doing Toritsugi about was in relation to their business. And then eventually their business was like had a lot of success. And because of the gratitude they had for the Toritsugi, for the spiritual help, for kami-sama's guidance, they donated a large portion of the construction costs to building the Kyokai. And it's like, and Kishi Sensei didn't have to ask anybody for like donations or like any of the stuff. Like it was just like through all of this like connections and like mutual helping of each other and like mutual blessings, that it was able to happen. And that was all through Kami-sama's divine workings, like through the divine arrangement. But if Kishi Sensei didn't ask Kami-sama and just decided like, oh, I'm going to just build a kyokai, then it's like none of that would have happened, right? So that's why, and that's not just Toronto Kyokai, but that's like so many other kyokai as well. Like so many other stories are like that. So that's why, like for me, like I take it really seriously because I'm like, I would be foolish to think that all of these stories somehow are fake or don't apply to me, or not relevant, right? Like that would be foolish. So I also want to follow in those footsteps and follow those teachings, because not only do I see like physically like the results of that, but also like I think it's the right thing to do, like to ask Kami-sama for help instead of, ignoring Kami-sama and then thinking I can do it all by myself. So I think that's really important too. Like whenever we start something new. So anyway, it's kind of like a tangent, but I think it was really important to say as well. So Lupin says, if you try to sell religion, lots of people won't buy it. If you prove that it can be a space where you can seek fellowship or comfort or participate in non-religious activities, it may do better. But I think it's even better to do community service type of work to show the values of the Konko Faith. Oh, yes, exactly. Yes, actually, that's true too. Like the Toronto Kyokai, they actually hold like AA, like Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in the basement. So similar, like, reaching out to the community, giving them the space to kind of, find their way out of an addiction and out of something harmful. It's like, again, it's mutually beneficial because like the people there have the space to talk and get help. And also Kami-sama's happy because like people are finding a better path for themselves in their lives. So it's like it works for everyone. And yeah, like I don't like that like people try to sell religion or like, like we need members or like we need donations, like all this kind of stuff. Like I get it. I completely understand it. I'm not judging, but I don't like it just because I feel like, again, like it's missing, like what is the point of religion, right? Like the point of a church, the point of a kyokai, the point of a religious space, the point of a shrine is to have people connect to the divine. So, if you're not thinking about the divine when you're doing that, it's like kind of counterproductive. Like that's what I always say. Like a shrine is not like a business, right? It's not a shop. It's not it's not something we make profit from, right? It's not supposed to be. So like treating it that way I feel like it will inevitably not end up working out in the long run. And I've actually seen evidence of that as well. So, without getting into too much detail, but it happens, right? So we have to remember the core of why something exists as well. So, I mean, like, again, like it'd be cool. It'd be cool to have a shrine and like a big shrine and stuff like that. But it's like what really matters is like, does the coolness of it and the aesthetics of it matter? Or does it being a place where people connect to Kami-sama matter? And I'm always going to choose this. I'm always going to choose it should be a place people connect to Kami-sama, because otherwise there's no real point to having it, right? So it's kind of like that. So, let's see. Oh, Lupin says, oof, the amount of times I've forgotten to ask Kami-sama for saying something. Oh no, don't worry, me too. Sometimes I get like, like horse blinders on, like so focused. I'm like, I have to do it. Like, oh my God, I have no time. Like I gotta do everything. And I forget to ask Kami-sama. But at some point I remember and I'm like, oh yeah, this would be way easier if I just ask Kami-sama for help. And it's like not just thinking I can do everything by myself. But it happens. It's completely normal, especially if you're not like, if you're not into the habit yet of asking Kami-sama for help or in new endeavors. It's normal to just be like, I gotta do this thing. And then you're doing it. But it's good to practice to ask Kami-sama to help. Alex says the local church has had a boom in support, has been running a food bank for a few years. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. See, that's really good. It's good to do that for the community. we need those sources. We need those resources and help and support. You know, like we should do that more. I don't. I know that like the Portland Kyokai, the Konko one, they do mochitsuki. So they sell mochi around New Year's. They do make a lot of mochi like into little packages, and then they like sell the packages for like, not expensive, but like, reasonable, and then people can use it for their like kamidana or their house around New Year's time, or just to enjoy mochi. And it does really well, and then everyone comes out to like help make the mochi, and it's really good. So it's not quite like a food bank, but it's kind of similar. Like, what really gets people together a lot of times is food, right? Mm. But just in general, it'd be good to have that. I've honestly, I've honestly wanted to have one of those like pantries, like those little like free pantry things here. That they had that in Toronto at a convenience store. Like, it was like a little shelf, and you could open it and put in like canned food, like pasta, canned fruits, etc. And you can put it in. But then I learned like I think there's something to do with Japanese law, and you're not like really allowed to do that. So I was like, oh, okay, never mind. I was like, why does Japan not do this? And then I realized it's like a food safety thing. So I was like, okay, never mind. So we gotta figure out something else. But yeah, like food banks and food pantries and stuff like that is like heavily regulated in Japan. So I'm like, okay, like we gotta find something different. But mochitsuki, maybe more mochitsuki or something. But yeah, Lupin says a religious community that actually lives its values tends to do better than those who don't. People can't stand hypocrisy. Yes, yes. Generally speaking, yeah. I mean, no, but it's true though. It's true though. Like, I agree with you. Like, I was gonna be bitter and be like, well, sometimes, because like, sometimes I know that there's some communities that like thrive off hate. There's some religious communities that like thrive on like they unite from like being hateful like to another group of people. But those are outliers. Those are outliers. But no, generally speaking, you're right. You're right. Like, people prefer to have a space that actually shows their thing. Yes, exactly. So I was thinking of like some of the like really fast growing like pagan groups, I guess you could say, like Norse paganism or Greek. They're so like nationalist and like really like they're kind of racist. So it's like it's kind of horrible that those ones grow faster than the actual religious ones. But but they're gonna grow fast and they're gonna fall down really fast. So it's just you just have to keep steady, right? Keep steady. Ask Kami-sama, ask the gods to help you. Make a good thing happen. Just ignore like the weird hate groups and like cults and stuff that like grow really fast because of like the psychological appeal and stuff like that. But just ignore this. No, I'm joking. Not ignore it, but understand that they're not growing because people actually care about the religion. They just want to be in a group that like affirms their own negative feelings. Because like I feel like a lot of people also come to religion to get affirmation of their feelings. So like I've had this experience even in the shrine here. Like, people will email me and they'll be like they want me to approve their like hateful or like ignorant rhetoric because like I'm a priest or something like that. So they like email me and they're like, is it okay if like, or like in Konko Kyo, da, 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 and then they try to like use the teachings to like justify something bigoted or hateful or something like that. And it's like, I hear them out. But then I'm like, I'm not going to enable you. And I know this is not what the teaching means. And I'm not going to affirm your understanding. I'm not going to like validate your misunderstood like perception of it. And when you don't like give in to validate someone, usually they get really angry and they're like, well, I'm not going to be Konkokyo ever again. Like, you're such a fake religion who doesn't like actually accept people, etc., etc. And then they explode, and they're like, oh, I'm so angry. I'm just like, just like, but it's like, like I can't, in good conscience, like lie and say that, yeah, that's what the teaching means, like, or that's what Kami-sama wants. Like, I'm not gonna lie about that. So, I don't know what to say, but that happens too. Like, people like their beliefs affirmed, even if they're not like healthy beliefs, So, or they're like very narrow-minded. So yeah. Also, hi Michael-san, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. Alex says, I'm actually quite guilty to never ask for help from Kami-sama or anyone. Oh no, Alex. I recommend you try to practice especially for Kami-sama. Like, don't feel guilty or bad or feel worried. Like, just ask. Like, it's good. Don't worry at all. Alex says, why not a warm space in winter? Just let people come in so they aren't spending money on their own heating. Oh yes. Yeah, no, yeah, we definitely have that. Like, we have the heater here and the cooler even, like in summertime, because summer is like summer's the situation in Japan. So yeah, we're always like, if you want to just cool down, have some water, have some tea, like the kyokai is open, like anytime, it's free. Like, just come in, you can just relax, and it does help get some people in, but it's like, it's kind of like some people come in and then it's like when it's spring or fall, they just like, oh, it's good, and then they don't come back. So it's like, it's okay though. Like, I'm happy people come. Just like, it's hard though to like I don't want to like pressure anyone to stay, but it's like that. Alex says, hate is a weed where hope is a field of wheat. One is fast, one is not. They have very different values. Exactly. You have to be patient with having hope. But hate spreads faster. It's like so much easier for people to just like cling on to something and then they just like run with it. It's like, okay. Lupin says, that's what one of the churches in Washington, D.C. that I used to attend would do in the winter. They partnered with other churches in the city to set up nighttime homeless shelters on a rotating basis. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. I think it'd be good to do for like other shrines as well, like other temples too. Like, I don't know why it doesn't doesn't really happen here in Japan. I think we're like the weird one for doing it. But that's because I'm like influenced from like, more Western culture, like seeing what like, churches do and like other religious spaces do in Canada. But like in Japan, it's kind of like, what? Like, it's kind of weird. Especially for like 90% of Jinja, you're like not allowed to go in the Haiden for like a ceremony, like unless it's a ceremony. So, it's kind of sad like that. But the interesting thing is, like, it's kind of sad too because like before like Meiji to World War II and then Jinja Shinto, like before Meiji, like the shrine was people like a place like people met at. Like, it was like a meeting hall or like a community space. And so like anyone can go into the worship hall and like talk to each other and have tea. And it's kind of like that during the Matsuri now, but also nowadays, like, it's basically like closed off. Like, you're not allowed to enter unless there's a ceremony. So I think that's also a problem because like like people like they open the door here and they see like a shrine kind of like, like a Haiden style, and they're like, ooh, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to come in here, and they close the door, and I'm like, no, come in, it's okay. you know like some people like they come to the Genkan and they're like, oh, and they're like they close the door again. I'm like, no, come in. Some temples allow you to come in, but for like shrines it's like, oh my god, like I can't go in. But that's an obstacle unique to here because I have to be like sometimes I just want to keep the doors open like all the time, but then like bugs will come in, so I can't do that. Right now I put like a little sign that says like open, like please come in, like so people know that they don't have to like worry about it, right? So but that's another obstacle to come over. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting though because like churches here, like Christian churches, to be fair, I've only been to like a few, but whenever I've wanted to just go in, like they've all been just open. So that's pretty that's pretty good. Like I think we're in like some areas of Europe too. Like when I went to Spain with Rai, we went to like many little churches in like the rural area, and like you could just walk in. And it was really cool. And something that was really cool about them was like the main figure wasn't Jesus on the cross. It was like Mary and the baby, kind of like Orthodox churches. And I was like, oh, this is cool. It's kind of like it's kind of like Mary, the goddess, you know. I don't think they mean to that, but it was kind of cool. But yeah. Um. So Dan says, if for Shinto was like that, what's their problem to restore the actual spirituality now? Because Konko Faith and other former Kyoha faiths survived through Meiji while keeping their spirituality. Ah, yes, yes, exactly. And like I think in Hawaii too, like Izumo Taishikyo or Oyashirokyo, like you can just walk in the Haiden. Like you can just go in. And maybe some other shrines in Hawaii. Like I think the Tenjin one and the Tenmangu and Kompiragu. I think they also allow you to go in because they're kind of like from that old era. But I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why there's kind of this like idea now that you're not allowed to go in. Like I need to research that. Like I need to actually research that because I don't know. I mean, like I've only seen like one other shrine where you could just go in. Um, like it was like a Hachiman shrine, and like in our area, and I was surprised because like there was no fence blocking the worship hall, like, and there was seats, so it was like you could go in and pray. You didn't have to stand up outside. So yeah, but that was the only one I've ever seen, and I've been to like hundreds of them. Yeah, I need to research like what happened, like why weren't they allowed to? So I don't know. I don't know. I remember like it because even I saw this in like the Konko, like I think it was Kyosu-sama's biography or somewhere. But like they had village meetings in the Ko Jinja, like the the jinja of like the hearth kami-sama. So they were able to like just walk in there and have meetings without like a ceremony or something. And like nobody was a priest. Like they just walked in. So I'm not really sure why that changed. But I should research that. But like I think I've tried to research it before, but I found nothing, like no info at all. And like I know, of course, like big, huge shrines like Issei Jingu or Izumo Taisha, like you don't want to just let like crowds run into the worship hall. Like I get that because it becomes a hazard, a fire hazard, and like for example, at like Sensoji, like the really big temple in Asakusa, they just let people walk in, and it's kind of a disaster because like so many tourists go flood in the temple, and like I see people like throwing coins like everywhere, and like the coins are hitting the statues, and they had to put like a net on the statues, and like people are just like eating lunch in the worship hall, and they're like taking selfies, and they're like they're just like doing crazy things. So I get that. I get like why they like because a temple's a little bit different, but like a shrine is like where that kami-sama actually is. So you want to be more respectful. For the big ones, like you don't want a huge tourist crowd, right? But as far as like local small shrines, like I don't know why you can't go inside the worship hall. Like just to worship, So it's kind of sad. I wanna know why for sure. Um. Oh. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Lupin says there are a couple really small historical churches I visited in my part of Maryland that were also unlocked. I was actually pretty surprised that these churches were open and without cameras. Oh, I love that though. That's so good. I like when they can do that, because it feels like again like connecting to Kami-sama, to the deity, to the divinity, you know. But I don't know. I get it though. Like it's not always safe. But if someone's there, like I don't see the problem to like let someone in. Vadim-san says, because the Shinto priest we talked about recently, oh yes, he actually praised Kyoha Shinto in his tweets, but it seems like he didn't actually learn much of the handy teachings from it and still being rude. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I hope he learns. I hope he learns more and he like evolves as a person and not be rude, you know. Like I get why he needs to be a little like or why he is a little bit spicy because yeah, there's kind of a lot of craziness going on. But 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 you have to be like again like because Twitter's public and like everyone's seeing what you post and like like I understand it's important to be honest, but like also you gotta like what's the word? Like you gotta what's the word? Temper? I don't know, temper or like, you know, curb or like adjust. Like you have to kind of like filter. Like you can be honest, but you can also be respectful and you can also be like kind. You don't have to like fake be nice, but you can like say how you really feel. But you know, you don't have to like be mean about it, right? That's kind of like my policy. Like if you're talking with friends and you're like spilling the tea, like it's okay to be a little bit, spicy sometimes. That's okay. Like cuz you're with friends and it's like it's not like a public thing, right? Like you're in a closed environment. It's kind of public, but it's not really cuz you're like everyone knows each other and it's like it's a little different, right? And again, like even if people like say something that you said, it's like it's not that it's like untrue or like you said it to like lie about the person. Like it was actually something that you had a problem with. So, even if the person finds out, it's like, yeah, I actually feel that way. Like I have a problem. And you can talk about it. But, if you're just like on your own page and you're talking publicly about it, it's like it's kind of respectful more to have a little bit of, filter, decorum, a little bit of kindness in your honesty, you know, just just to kind of like smooth things out, like, not be too spicy, right? And especially because especially as a priest, because you're gonna be like a representative of your shrine, of your faith, of like everything. So you're not just acting as an individual anymore. You're acting as like a representative of that faith, of your shrine. Even if even if that's not really fair or you don't like it, it's how it happens, right? Like I'm aware that when I do these streams and stuff, like I'm like people are gonna say, "Oh, it's Olivia. She's a priest of Konko," and I'm aware that like people are gonna associate like what me with like Konko, like even if it's like a subconscious thing. So I'm like aware of that, and I try to like think about that when I talk about things, and I want to be like fair, and I want to be honest, but also fair and kind. So, and I'm not trying to be fake, but like that's genuinely how I feel. Like I really want to like evolve myself too. So I try to keep that in mind, right? But sometimes people don't keep that in mind and they just say anything and it's like, yeah, it's gonna it's kind of sad, It's kind of like I feel bad. And like, when you're on your own time, like if it's your own personal private account, like it's not connected to anything, like maybe people are like, no, it's you, but you're not acting under the title or the image of a priest, that's still different. But like if you're saying you're like, I'm Reverend such and such, and I'm the priest of this shrine, if you're under that like title, you should try to, express yourself more courteously and like more conscientiously, like with consideration to the other person. I mean, I don't care if the priest is like, okay, I'm like Reverend Tanaka versus like Tanaka-san, who's just like posting on his personal Twitter. Like it's okay. Like I understand people have their lives, right? But using the authority and using the title of your shrine and your title, that's kind of like it's not really good either, because it's kind of like also trying to like get power over someone by using that title, and that's also not really good. So yeah, it's kind of like a whole thing. Okay, sorry. Lipin says, it used to be that religious spaces were community spaces, but religion has been divorced from community in modern times. Yeah, that's a big problem. It's a big problem. I think religion should try to be more connected to people, and adapt to the times but yeah. Lipin says self-filter. Yeah, like self-filter. Vidimson says, I mean the priest who served at the Konjin shrine. It's like seeing his tweets, and it's okay for him to post something like "you're idiots," and then posting some photos from the ceremony. I know, I know, exactly. It's so bad. It's like, oh my god, And I feel like we feel bad too, because if you're a priest of Konjin sama, we're like cousins. Like I don't we're part of the family. Don't I don't want to people think like all priests of Konjin sama are like rude. I don't want people to think that. So it's like, I think that's also the consideration is from that person is not taken into account. So it's like it's like also another problem there. So it's kind of sad. So like Taihen. So yeah. But again, like if it was just his own personal account, like his like private-ish personal account, it's different, right? Because he's kind of putting that like separation between him as a person and him as a priest. And I'm not saying like that's the thing, right? Like you have that balance. Like you don't have to be like you don't have to like put on the formalness all the time because that's also not healthy. But the lack of like consideration to keep it separate, and like keep it to himself and like not considering the consequences and stuff, it's like, you know. And again, like I'm not saying he can't like he needs to be under a microscope. Like I'm not saying that, but like yeah, like calling someone stupid uh is kind of too much. Like that's kind of too much. I don't like there's ways to disagree with someone without resorting to name calling and stuff. And even the other person they were replying to, they also didn't react in a very professional way as a priest. So that was also a problem. And it's like, it's like when you're acting under the title of a priest, it should be kind of more respectable. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe people disagree with me, but I think it's important. And like again, they don't have to be like perfect. Like they don't have to be like perfect, 100% pristine. Like they don't have to be like that, but just general respect. Like general basic normalness. You know. So Lupin says one of the basics of doing anything online is operating with the understanding that the internet is a public place. Anything you do online can be viewed by everyone. Yes. In a pluralistic society, it's probably best that one religious space institution isn't receiving support or endorsement from a government by being designated as the community center for the community. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Yes, exactly. I mean, that's a problem too, right? Like, that's a whole can of worms because, like, some people are like, oh, well, like, if the religion is cultural, then the government should support national culture and like all this stuff. And it's like, why would you support like a foreign religion or something? And it's like, it's a whole mess. I think how the system kind of is now is good. Like every religion is kind of their own independent thing, and they don't have to pay taxes, right? Like you don't have to pay taxes on things. And then the government just kind of lets them do their own thing. I don't think the government should get involved in religion. And I say that as a priest, like genuinely, like every time government and religion mixes, it's like it's always a disaster. So I think it should be like, the government just like, does like a stamp, like, yeah, you're legitimate, you don't have to pay tax, but just report your income. That kind of basic relationship, but like government support or like national kind of support or something like that. I think in the modern age, it ends up being can end up being really toxic and like weird and like weird. Like again, like it just becomes weird. So like I would rather avoid it. Like maybe it made sense in ancient times, when like it was like the whole thing, like the whole culture and the religion was intertwined in the culture, and then like it was with the land, and that was the ancient times were like a whole other thing. But like in modern times with like the internet and like multicultural, multi-religious, it's like let's just government should be secular, you know. So we're not in the ancient times like, anymore. So Vadim says, I guess having a personal account is just not the thing for Twitter Shinto Priest. Like the one who posted random things about his relationship and everything is like that. No, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Like yeah, on Twitter, the priest just like post anything, everything. It's really messy. Like it's really messy. I remember one priest like retweeted like retweeted something like not safe for work. Not a Konko priest. I think it was like another shrine priest. I don't remember. But I was genuinely like scared. Like I thought he got hacked or something. And I was like scared because I'm like, if people see this and they're like, they like judge the shrine of the priest, and I'm like, oh my god. And I remember I asked him like, were you hacked? And he's like, no, I just wanted to retweet it. And I was like, what? Like you're on the shrine account? Like what is happening right now? So it was like a whole thing. And I was genuinely like confused and it was like weird and I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. Shinto Twitter is crazy. Like it's crazy. Um yeah, I don't know what's going on out there. It's like a wild west. On Instagram I don't really see it as much, but on Twitter it's kind of like cursed lands, you know. I don't know. But I personally feel like we got to get a hold on ourselves. Like I think priests need to kind of get a hold of themselves and kind of like, you know, get a sense of understanding that like people are seeing what they post, like it's public. So and it's not their personal page, it's like their professional page, so it should be professional. So yeah. Um, Thankfully, like the few, like I know there's a Konko priest who like posts like Waga Kokoro, like Airaku quotes, and he's like pretty, like he's pro. He's like keeps saying professional. And like you know other, so some other priests are really professional, but then like some other priests are just like like treating their account like it's just their own account, and it's just like, whoa, it's like okay, but yeah. Okay, Lupin says, but plenty of churches create spaces as community centers, even if they aren't the community center. At this point in the US, it's supposed to have been decided that religion ought to be a private matter and there's no government involvement or support of religious institutions. But we know how that's currently going for us. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've heard of that, but like I've heard other things. I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on in the US as much. So I don't know what's going on, but like I don't know. I still feel like it's good to keep it separate. You know, I because I feel like even if they say it on paper, but then it doesn't actually happen, it's also very like dangerous. You know. Mm. But yeah, because it's just like can be risky. So like here in Japan at least, I can talk about Japan, but like whenever religion has gotten intertwined with the government here in Japan, I'm not even talking about like World War II or anything, but like even in modern times, it's been like madness. Like it's been really crazy. And like I've known that there's been some situations where like the government person like doing a formal visit to like Yasukuni Shrine that like causes so much controversy. And like I'm not gonna comment on that, but like in my opinion, it's like if you want to worship there as a government official, like just worship there privately on your own time. Because when they make it an official thing, it causes a lot of disharmony and disruption and like controversy, and then people lash out, they retaliate. It's not even like foreigners, even like Japanese people who are more on like the communist side, like they lash out, you know, they start to deface the shrine, they start to do all sorts of things, and it's like I don't know, I don't even know, I'm not like judging anyone, like I just see chaos. Like I just see chaos happen from these decisions, and I think that like these decisions can be made um in the sense of like keeping harmony with the people and keeping harmony with the different political views of each people and like different religious views, and understanding that there's a controversy, and like it's going to stir up more controversy and more violence, and it's just like so it's like a whole thing. And yeah, I think that it's okay if they go worship on their own personal time, and even if they go like even if they're a government person, they go worship there, that's fine. Like you can't control what people do in their own time, but like making a whole statement of it, knowing that it's going to cause more tensions and more issues and more problems in daily life with people, I think that's not really responsible. And maybe that's me being naive, and maybe I'm wrong, but for me personally, like I just want people to be harmonious, and like we work together, and like we don't do things that cause serious like controversies, or like, and like I'm not saying that like you should just be quiet and be submissive. I'm not saying that. Like obviously if there's injustice, we have to fight against injustice. But like Japan is pretty much in a peaceful time and pretty much like settled down. There's no, I mean, there's corruption, but like, it's not like really, really injustice, right? Like people have freedoms. So kind of threatening that peaceful time and threatening that time when people have more choice, I don't think it's very wise. I think we should try to keep the peaceful time and keep the time when people can be more free. And yeah, obviously, like everyone has to follow the rules and stuff. Like just keep the balance. Um, so I know it's complicated, but like I don't know. I think it's just like sometimes there's a lot of like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I watch like people in government. They like talk about issues and stuff like that. Like in Japanese government, I'm really only Japanese government and Canadian government I can really comment on, because I've lived in those two countries for a long period of time. And sometimes, like especially the Canadian government, like sometimes people are talking in like Parliament or whatever, and they're like, to me, they sound like really immature, and I'm like, I don't know how like I feel cooked like when I like hear people in the government in very powerful positions talk about certain issues, and I'm just like I'm shocked like the way they talk about things. For example, this is like not religious or anything, but like in Canada there was an issue a long time ago, probably still is an issue, where like on the reservations for like Native Canadians, different tribes, the government didn't care that they didn't have fresh water. And I was like, what the, like I had no idea about this. The only reason I found out about it was because I was actually watching the parliament discussion thing, and I think I was just flipping through the TV, and then I saw it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch it. That'd be so interesting. Like, what did the government people talk about? I'm sure they're very intellectual and they're very smart people, and they're very like, I was so naive. And I was hearing some of the opinions from people, and they were like, well, why do we have to like give them like fresh water if they have to manage their own land? And I was like, like, whoa, like what? I was like, hold on. And I was like 14. Like I feel like I had more like empathy than someone in the position of power. Cause it's like, yeah, it may be true that they have their own like, or as you say, that they have their own permission, or they have their own dominion over the land. Sure, okay, I guess I'm not really informed, honestly, but I'm sure there's lots of loopholes and complicated things I don't know about. But I think that like you have to understand as well that like the reason that they're on those reservations, and the reason all of this system has happened, came from an initial like a lot of injustice and a lot of complicated history and a lot of things that this person was ignoring, and just seeing very narrow-minded viewpoint of it, and ignoring also the fact that a lot of the factories and industrial logging and etc. from the government itself was what was poisoning their water supply. So it was like, you're saying this, but you're ignoring everything else. And you have the ability to help people under this country to have a better life, and you just don't want to. So it's like, it was just like, I kind of went crazy, and I still haven't forgot about that from that point. So, there's a lot of things like that in governments that, like, you hope that they would figure out the best things, but they have a very narrow viewpoint, and they don't really consider what's best for the people. They consider for certain interests, and to varying degrees. Some are very bad, some are kind of not as bad compared to other big issues, but it's still an issue. you know. Also, Ina-san, thank you so much for coming today. I hope you have a nice day. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope not talking political stuff is gonna put me on a watch list, but that's okay. I'm probably on like 20 watch lists already. That's no, but I don't know. It's okay. Like, it's just like, it's just crazy, I don't know. Like I can't comment on it because I don't really know the ins and outs details. But I do know, like, things aren't that simple, and I do know that if you have the ability to make people's lives a little bit easier and a little bit more harmonious and a little bit more peaceful, I think that is the better path to choose. And if someone is disrupting that harmony, then you find ways to handle the situation. So, and it's not even like this group or that group, or like categorizing things. It's literally just like human behavior, right? Like, so that's, I don't know, that's kind of where I'm coming from. So yeah. But it just makes you sad. I don't know, maybe that's why I'm more aligned to Konko, because like Tenchika no Kami-sama was just like, like, why are we being Nino? Like, why are we being so human centered? And we're not being kami centered, where we should focus on the whole of things and understand our place as humans in the big whole, and how to live harmoniously with other people and everything else around us, rather than being human centered and thinking like, oh, what is best for like profit, or what is best for like growth, or industrial evolution, or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm sure that building a factory will make making more PCs, computers, or something better. I don't know. I'm not saying I don't want a computer, but I'm trying to say we should be more kami centered and find more of a balance with everything, and not just like bulldoze through, you know without considering the whole, you know, without considering how our actions are affecting other things around us. And I know like some actions are unavoidable, and maybe it's going to go against the harmony, but like you have to push through. Like, I understand that as well. But I feel like that consideration or that weight is rarely taken into account in the modern times. And of course, like, a lot of modern people aren't really considering about Kamiyo or Kami's way or the big picture, unfortunately. There are people who do, but, unfortunately, like, we wouldn't be in this situation right now if there were more. So, yeah, it's like, it's really bad. But, we just have to keep going. We just have to keep moving forward, and, like, eventually generations pass. The elders, people who are elder and in power now, they pass away. The next generation takes over, they pass away, and then the next generation comes over and they pass away. So, time will keep going. Things come and go, and eventually yeah, like, it's all gonna, in the big picture, in the big picture, it just will, eventually this will be done. But I think that means that for the limited precious time we have now, I hope for us as a species to make this limited precious time we have now like a good time, not suffering, and not full of ignorance and suffering and like all the things that everyone has already talked about smarter than me 1,000 million years ago. They already said all this, and we're still on the same issue in 2026, but it's okay. I guess we just have to keep trying, so it's kind of sad, but we just gotta keep going, keep trying. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I don't know, I have to admit it's sad. But yeah, it's just crazy because I think about it, like people like 1,000 years ago were saying like similar stuff, like similar things about like how humanity is managing, or like how humanity is acting. I remember like reading a lot of stories about like Vikings and stuff. And like like historical accounts, and like even the Vikings back then were like complaining about the way of life of the Vikings. They're like, I don't know if this is like the best way that we should do things, while others were like really supportive of it. So even back then, like people were observing the troubles of their society at the time and wanting to make their society better, and we're just like still in it right now with all of our problems in 2026. So I don't know, we just have to keep trying to go back to Kamiyo, like Kami way, and keep focused on that. So I think it's important. I don't know, but it's hard. And again, I'm not saying like we'll have to like go like we have to like live in a tent or something. Like I'm not saying that, but there's a way to live a modern life, and a way to live a modern life that's in harmony with everything. I truly believe there's a way to do that. And I think in a lot of areas we're kind of getting there, but in a lot of areas we need to work on a lot of things as well, because we're not quite there yet. And even if people want to be there, it's hard to do it in certain systems where it's not balanced. So it's like it's complicated, right? Like I'm not saying like, just go to bulk barn and like or start a farm. It's not that simple. I wish it was, but it's not. Even me, like, oh my god, my hair is bleached. Like, like I'm sure like it's not really like in like producing the product and like producing the hair products and like all this stuff, right? Like it's impacting the environment, right? So I think about that every time, and I'm like, Kamisama, like, is there a way to have everything balanced? So I think about that a lot. But yeah, oh my gosh. But anyway, sorry, this conversation got really political. But it's about like 2 a.m. now, so maybe I should stop for today because I have to wake up early tomorrow. But if anyone has like some comments or questions before I go, please let me know. But I think it was a good conversation. Like sometimes you have to talk about the hard things and the uncomfortable things sometimes. Sometimes we can laugh and talk about silly things. Sometimes we talk about serious things. So, yeah. But yeah, if no one has any more comments, I think this is a good place to end. So, oh no, thank you so much too. It was really good. Thank you so much. Yeah, and if you disagree with me or anyone disagrees with me, it's okay. Like I understand. It's just like me talking about stuff, but I'm okay to like anything is, we're all like coming from different perspectives. So but yeah, thank you so much. And thank you. Yes, thank you everyone. Thank you for coming for today. And I'll see you next time on when is the next time? Oh, on Tuesday. Sorry. I'll see you next time on Tuesday. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night or a good day wherever you are. And please take care. And most of all, take care of yourselves and let's do the best we can. So, yeah. Okay. Take care. Bye bye. Bye. Arigato.